By now you've learned that eating healthy, regular exercise, and getting enough sleep are important for lowering your risk of diabetes. If you've already started working on some of these healthy habits, good for you. But if you haven't, that's okay too. Take your time. In this lesson, you'll learn 4 strategies for maintaining your healthy habits and making them stick so you can keep your risk of diabetes low over the long term. So here are those 4 strategies. They are dealing with triggers, managing your thoughts, finding support, and dealing with lapses. So let's start with triggers. Triggers are sights, smells, sounds, tastes, or even feelings that you react to without even thinking about it. They can also be people, places, activities, or situations. Now, some triggers are positive. They lead to good things. For instance, when your alarm clock triggers you to get up and start your day, or when your dog triggers you to go for a walk. But other triggers are negative and can lead to bad things, like when you smell French fries and that triggers you to supersize your lunch. So think about the healthy habits we've been discussing. What are your positive triggers? How do they help you stay on track? Take some time to think of the people, places, events, sights, sounds, thoughts that boost your motivation to stay on the right path. I recommend writing them down and keeping a running list. What about your negative triggers? Where and when do you or will you find it hard to stick to your plan? Again, I recommend that you take some time to brainstorm. Brainstorm some possible triggers that you will likely face in advance. Write them down. Plan ahead. What will you do if and when you are faced with some of these negative triggers? Let's say bad weather causes you to cancel your afternoon walk. Well, hopefully you will have a plan B, like mall walking. You could check the weather forecast at the beginning of the week so you can plan your activities around the weather. The second of these 4 strategies is managing your thoughts. Now, just like triggers, your thoughts can have a positive or a negative effect on keeping your new habits going. When negative thoughts pop up, it is possible with a little practice to recognize them, to step back for a moment and look for a different way to think about the situation. We call this reframing your thoughts. So let's take a look at some types of negative thoughts and some examples of each. Let's start with overly dramatic thoughts. These are thoughts that are so overblown, so exaggerated that they lead to feelings of hopelessness. Here's an example. I will never ever be able to eat dessert again. Well, let's reframe that with something healthier, like I might not have dessert as often, or I'll find some healthier desserts to replace the desserts that weren't so good for me. Another type of negative thought is self-labeling. It's when you call yourself names, things that would really hurt if someone else said them to you. Calling yourself names like, I'm just a couch potato, a loser. How can you reframe that? An example of that would be, millions of people have done this. I have the tools to begin making some changes. It'll take some time, but it's worth it. Then there are excuses. I don't have the time to exercise. Reframe it. I'll see what I can do to find a few 10-minute breaks to take a walk. My health is too important not to. Another type of unhealthy thought is unhealthy comparisons. Well, Tim has lost more weight than I have, so what's the point? Well, reframe that. My body and Tim's body are different. Or maybe I should ask Tim what his secret is. And finally, there are what I like to call doom and gloom thoughts. These are thoughts where you're thinking that the future is so dark and so bleak that there's no hope at all. Well, here's the thing with reframing doom and gloom thinking. As much as we'd like to think we can, nobody can tell the future. An example would be, I just know I'm going to get diabetes. My mom and dad both have it. Well, how do you reframe that? Something like, Mom and Dad didn't know what we know today. I don't have to suffer like they did. Harmful thoughts like these can really derail your journey, especially when you're just starting out. That's why it's so important to pay attention to your thoughts. Recognize the negative ones and reframe what you're saying to yourself. The third strategy is support. For better or for worse, other people affect the choices you make, like the kind of relative who almost forces you to take extra servings. But there's also the coworker who is always ready to go for a walk whenever you ask. Your family, friends, and coworkers care about you and they generally want you to be well. But they might not understand what it is you're doing or why you're doing it. They might not know how to support you. So it's up to you to tell them. To get the support you need, here are some ideas. Try sharing some facts about diabetes and how to prevent it. Tell people why you're making these changes. Give updates on your progress. You could also invite people to exercise with you, maybe to plan and shop for healthy meals with you, perhaps cook and eat healthy food with you. One way to get support from others in your community is to join a support group. Now, some support groups meet in person, others connect online. Usually your doctor can give you advice and information on local groups. Now, if you'd rather connect online, the American Diabetes Association has a secure online discussion board that you can join for free. Just go to diabetes.org and click Online Community. Either way, groups like this help you learn about and practice healthy habits with like-minded people. The fourth and final strategy is dealing with lapses. It is normal to get off track when you're making changes. In fact, you can pretty much expect it to happen. But the key is to stay positive. If you slip up, do not make things worse by calling yourself names. I'm a failure. I'm just a loser. These thoughts only lead to hopelessness. Instead, learn from your lapse. Think about what caused your lapse. Was it a trigger, a certain thought, somebody in particular? Then once you've identified what caused you to lapse, you have a powerful tool, and that's the insight to know what to do the next time that trigger happens. How you can change the situation if and when it happens again. What solutions are you ready to try? Try them and reevaluate. Focus on the progress you've made and get right back on board immediately. So that's it. 6 lessons to help you prevent diabetes. Those included losing some weight, partnering with your doctor, eating a healthy, well-balanced diet, getting enough physical activity, improving your sleep, and ways to stick to your plan. It can be a lot to take in, but remember, you can always return to these videos whenever you need to. It's been my pleasure to guide you through this course. I'm clinical specialist Michael Detner. Thanks for joining me.